Before we start the second session in this evening, I'm not sure whether Paul's still in this session. If Paul's still in the session, Paul, there's a couple of
Here I
questions
am.
in the there's a couple of chat question, Paul, for you in the chat window, just in case you want to respond. Otherwise, probably they can ask you straight away and send an email directly to you.
Yeah, that's no problem. If I don't mind.
Okay. Yeah, just in case you want to respond straight away, there's a couple of questions in the chat window, Paul.
That's right. I'm trying to open the chat window and it's not playing the game.
All right, then I'll consolidate that question and send it to you, Paul, after this event.
Okay, yep. That's probably the way forward. No, I'm just getting. I tried to open the chat window. It's just a ever whirling circle that never finishes.
All right. No worries. All right. So the second session here will be presented by Archana Shukla. Archana, Adi, feel free to start the recording again, and just for everybody benefit as well. Look, this session is a recorded session. So if you want to listen this session, the conversation, all the meaning benefit for all of us in the SAP community here. So the second session will be presented by Archana Shukla. Archana is a senior product manager technology innovation from SAP. Archana also leading GTM operation for SAP APG region and global partner ecosystem. The second speaker for the same topic is Bernhard Knuth. Bernhard is a product manager for our platform workflow within SAP S4HANA Cloud. Bernhard drives the move to leverage the flexible workflow integrated with responsibility management in order to enable the business user in the cloud and adjust the simple approval process. That's the bit of a biography from Bernhard. So in this event, we also going to hopefully listen the and bit of curiosity what going to do with the existing SAP workflow that customer been using it for many years in the journey as in S4HANA. Do we need to convert all the classic workflow into flexible workflow, or do we need to start from scratch? That's something that are going to be explained and answered by Archana and Bernhard. So over to you, Archana and Bernhard.
Thanks, Sandy. Thanks for the introduction, and hello and warm welcome from my side as well for this second session of the evening, where me and Bon are going to basically tell you how you can achieve better automation and improved business transformation using SAP S4HANA business workflows and flexible workflows, and using SAP BTP workflow management. So the agenda for today is like quite crisp and taking the time, and so we will give you a quick overview of what SAP S4HANA business workflow and flexible workflow are about, and then we'll be also talking about some extension scenarios that are also available with SAP SAP workflow management in SAP BTP, and then we will go through some customer examples to give you an overview as how our customers have leveraged both the worlds to achieve this whole business transformation in an end-to-end process environment. And finally, I'll also give you some updates on the prepackaged content. This is something new that we have been working upon in past couple of months. And finally, I'll close with a quick summary, and then we'll be open for question and answers. So over to you, Bond.
Yes, thank you very much for the nice introduction, Archana and Sandy. Yes, I would like to explain you a little bit about the move from workflow to the S4HANA cloud solution. And as Sandy said, I'm the product manager for this topic. I brought 2 slides with me, and which I briefly introduce, and then I hand over to Archana back again. So first, my daily task is really to encourage my colleagues from development the industry, of the LOBs, from the line of business, to build flexible workflows. This is where we invest. This is where we want to improve our solution landscape and bring new innovations in that. And before I get to the flex part, I want to drop some words of what we call nowadays the classical workflow part. And I'm sure you all know the old workflow engine, which has been developed back in the world of R3 with a graphical builder where you design processes, steps in a graphical way, where you had the business object repository, where you can have your business objects, you attend them with your own methods, you add attributes, add further events to actually develop your own customer workflow. This engine was well proven, was very stable, still available, but it's using the old SAP GUI UI. And with that, you could still use your old workflows with the business workplace, where you run through the processes. And from the workflow point of view, everything is still the same and should work as before. But since workflows are lots of new developments, custom codes, lots of custom codes, no one really can guarantee you that all the applications beneath this workflow in the classical workflow would be still working as. So we don't have really anything specific workflow oriented on the migration topic, since it is lots of custom development in there. But I mean, if you shift to S4, then the focus shifts back from the SAP GUI to the Fiori UI, where you get all the innovations. So you really should have a close look to what is in that in that flexible workflow available. So focusing on that, we see the slide, and I want to bring your attention to the bottom left side, which is kind of where the process is executed, where we have the LOBs of finance, of sourcing, sales, R&D, supply chain. All this is the core part of the S4 solution, and the workflow kind of sits on top of that, where you coordinate things. Like when you create a sales order, you would want to make sure that the right people monitor it before it is actually released. Same with maybe a GL document in that. So what the aim of the flexible workflow is that you really would want to coordinate. You have simple approval processes across all areas, and that's what we want to unify and bring together in the flex workflow together. So if you look at the slide in the top box where it says SAP Fiori apps, you find kind of 3 boxes in there. The first box, the My Inbox, is the one which is really for the end user in there. This is where the user involved in a process, in a workflow process, looks into details of the tasks of some decision, defines substitutes, forwards a work item, and really does the decision. So the things going on in a process for the end user is in the My Inbox, fully Fiori UI inbox. So when we look at then the box in the middle, that's kind of the core of the new flexible workflow. The My Inbox would also work for all the work items in the classical way, if they work with Fiori UI. So in the middle, we have the Manage Workflow. That's a tile you usually have for each process, an own tile, saying Manage Workflow for purchase orders, Manage Workflows for GL documents, Manage Workflow for sales documents, those kind of. So this is where a more business-oriented user who configures a workflow process would go in there, define which are the conditions this workflow should start, which are the sequences of the steps to run through, which are the recipients going through, process an item, which are the deadlines which need to be monitored, and emails which be triggered out, exception handling for in case an item was rejected. So this is a lot lot simpler than the traditional graphical builder, and of course more user friendly for a not so technical oriented user, but of course they're not that powerful like the old work engine was able. This is where you go into the like set up threshold values where you specify an amount in Australian dollars and say up to that level it should be auto approved. If it's above that level but not too much above, you'll define the thresholds. Then you have a regular one-step approval by a group of team who's approving a work item, and then or you would want to have a multi-step approval with very complex conditions. You can have extensibility in that part where you define all your own complex rules of conditions, when to start, which step to perform, and that. So we offer a cloud body to extend the conditions to really make the rules on a more business user level and not on a technical consultant level. Then the third box, you will find the teams and responsibility management, which is an app also used in situation handling, if you know this application as well. But we in workflow use it next to our former rules we have, like we had rules of very typical, the manager of the initiator or the manager's manager of initiator or the cost center owner. So those sorts of people, those kind of rules we can still use in workflow. And additionally to that, we have the teams and responsibility management, since we don't use the HR org model anymore. So you would need to use this app to build teams, to define responsibility areas, who's responsible for this sales organization or something. You put teams into a hierarchy, and we allow extensibility, in-app extensibility for any kind of complex rules like the former PFAC rules. You can encapsulate them in bodies and use them in a flex workflow as well. So those extensibilities we do have for the so from SAP point of view, we are developing more and more and pre-configuring those flex workflows and make them adjustable. And I'll soon hand over to Archana, who then looks at what we can do to build really own custom workflows with the extensibility we offer on the business technology platform. My goal is really in the S4 to provide all the standard approval workflows in the standard. And my next slide, could you swap one slide, please? That shows you it gives an overview of which we have available right now in the 2020 on-premise release, which gives you a full list of, you can see we're quite strong in the area of finance and procurement and sales as well. We offer lots of business object from the start. So you would need to really find out if you can move to those or get rid of old own developed workflows and reuse one of these pre-configured workflows. I think we have a quite good coverage on that. And if you need to create really from the scratch new and use a graphical modeler, this is now the part HANA is telling you. So I would like to hand over to Archana to go on with your part. Thank you. We cannot hear you, Archana.
Okay, yeah. So thanks, Bern. So you now know what SAP workflow and flexible workflows are all about, and when you should use what. So for in-app workflow development, you can use SAP Business Workflow, and for side-by-side extensions, or if you have any kind of integrations with third party and have orchestration needs in the entire hybrid setup that you have, where your processes might be spanning over multiple systems, which could be SAP or non-SAP. So we have SAP Workflow Management as part of Business Technology Platform. So what is SAP Business Technology Platform? So SAP Business Technology Platform is one common platform for transforming your end-to-end processes and catering to your different needs on data management or analytics or integration extensibilities, and also with intelligent technologies in case you want to infuse some intelligence into your end-to-end processes. You can apply these different technologies that you see on your screens and that we are offering as part of SAP BTP to transform your processes into intelligent business processes. I mean, basically for increased productivity and overall customer experience. So now Extension Suite is one of the key pillar of business technology platform, and the role of Extension Suite in this whole story is to provide this holistic set of capabilities with very clear value propositions to simplify and accelerate your extensions of your applications, with enhanced digital automation as one theme, with better digital experience as a second theme, and to improve development efficiencies across SAP LOBs and non-SAP systems. So workflow management is part of digital process automation theme. And what is SAP workflow management? So SAP workflow management is a cloud offering which constitute of these different capabilities that help you to digitize your processes through SAP workflow service that we provide. And then you can also automate and centralize your decision management through SAP business rule service. And then you can get an end-to-end visibility into your processes, which are not just on SAP BTP platform, but it could be in your third-party systems or your S4HANA systems and so on, to get these nice a dashboard which gives you not just monitoring capabilities, but also like it gives you an overview of how your processes are performing, how your key KPIs are there, and some insight to action capabilities. Besides this, I mean, these services were always there independently, like workflow service, business rule service, visibility service, and so on. And on top of this, what we have done this is we are bringing all of these services together to give you an improved experience whenever you have the need for process orchestration or for process automation or for process optimization. And not only this, like we are adapting to latest trends and accelerating the productivity of your process transformations with infusion of intelligent technologies like robotic process automation, like conversational AI, which are now very easily you can integrate to your workflows. And also besides that, this is something new that we have developed and released last year, was a way to flexibly configure your processes and extend your processes in a low code, no code kind of an environment. And that is what we call process flexibility. So this is like a complete big picture that gives you an overview of how different services inside workflow management interacts and to different services in a business technology platform, and also with different LOB applications. So all of these services are like are easy to consume through APIs. So they all can be like workflow, business rules, visibility. They already have APIs available, and therefore the integration or the interaction points with the different services and the third-party systems really becomes handy, and it's very easy to integrate. So we also have like a lot of use cases where the integration with the intelligent RPA is done to give that holistic business process improvement story, where you get all these different services at one place, and you can bring in these needed improvements in your process in a quicker way. And okay, so now coming on to so with SAP workflow management, as I said, you can easily extend your workflows with S4HANA, and for any kind of, let's say, any kind of custom configurations that you need, apart from what is provided as standard, or any kind of additional capabilities that you want to build up, and keeping your digital core clean, or any kind of new workflow developments or any other needs that your customers and the customers have that you can build. The whole idea is to keep the digital core clean and easily use these BTP platform services for any kind of extensions, be it in the terms of workflows, be it in the terms of decisions, and also to get this end-to-end nice visibilities on your process. And this is end-to-end is also the key, because it could be that your entire landscape is not just about S4, but it is also about various other SAP LOBs or solutions, or maybe let's say you have success factors for your HR requirements, or let's say you have Ariba for your procurement, and you actually really want to stitch all these different LOB solutions and S4 plus your third-party systems together, and that is where the BTP platforms really plays the key role. So this actually and this side-by-side extension is basically available there to clearly decouple your standard process, what Bernhard just showed in the previous slide, versus the extension process that you might have and that you might to build, and which are definitely easier to maintain, to scale, and also to be adapted in the future with the changing market needs. So therefore, workflow management definitely comes with some added advantage of using, let's say, a central workflow and central decision management services with one central inbox that we will be releasing in upcoming months. And in this central inbox, or which we call task center by the name, where you can actually see all your tasks coming from different applications. Let's say you do not have to really go to Ariba inbox or S4 inbox or SuccessFactors inbox to really work on the work items. You'll have one central inbox, and the work items from all these different LOBs and S4HANA will reside at one place, and this just simplifies the job of an end user where he doesn't have to navigate through different inboxes. And then we also have out-of-box end-to-end visibilities to both business workflow as well as to BTP workflows. And then also you can do the third-party integrations with this public REST APIs that we have provided. So definitely there are benefits with in-app extensions, and there are benefits with side-by-side extensions. So it is really important that you make the right choice of the platform whenever you are going for any kind of transformations to your business processes. Now, coming on to some customer examples. So these are some of the customer examples that we have where these customers have used the extension and orchestration trends to really reinvent their workflows and processes in their companies. So for example, Taronga, which is one of the largest zoo in Australia, used SAP BTP to unify all its core functions. So functions like procurement, HR, finance, they still resides in their backend system, but now what they have done, they have unified and built one single application on the SAP BTP platform, which they call StackSAP. And this they use to basically now work, let's say, to approve the leaves, or to work on any kind of financial documents or any kind of purchase order. So they do not have to really go through different systems. Instead, they just access these different requests from just one place. And therefore, they have also used workflow, the BTP workflows for approvals and for the extension needs. Similarly, we have Murphy Oil, who actually automated their entire oil well operations using SAP BTP, where they have kept the key core processes in the backend system like SAP ECC and many third-party systems, and they have used workflow for new extension needs where some customized approvals and are needed, and they have also used business rules very nicely for any kind of user management, and they have kept the logic of this complex logic of user management in their company to a tool like business rules, which they can easily maintain and they can easily change in future. And similarly, we have news stories also available now, and which is like for ALJ Motors, who have unified again their integration and orchestrations for their end-to-end integration across the heterogeneous and hybrid IT landscape. So they had systems like SAP Hybris, SAP ECC, SAP CRM, SAP BW, and they also had a lot of third-party systems. So, and they now have built one end-to-end integration using SAP BTP services and also SAP workflow management for any kind of for their business rules and also for orchestrating these workflows and approval workflows. So you see, I mean, these are just one quick examples, but you find many such examples, and we also have SAP Innovation Awards for 2021, where the 5 finalists are using SAP Workflow Management and also S4HANA, and you can see how customers are leveraging now the best of both the worlds and taking these smart decisions of keeping their digital core clean and also using SAP BTP for extensions and unifications of their hybrid landscape. Now, coming on to one of the interesting topics, I hope you will love what I'll show you and talk about it next. So, so we all have gone through this pandemic, and it has taught us a lot of things, and it has changed a lot of market trends also. And one of such emerging trends is about the pre-packaged content for the common process problems. So lots and lots of customers and stakeholders now do not want to build them from scratch because it involves a lot of resources, and they do not want to invest into that, seeing the kind of resilience that they have to bring it into that entire working model. Okay, so SAP Workflow Management has understood these market trends, and we have already done that, and we are in process of also publishing many pre-built enterprise ready content that you as customers can instantly set up in your landscape, and we call them as live process content packages. So we have currently published close to 30 such content packages, but we are not stopping here. You will see more and more content packages, and we have a really tight goal to publish as many content packages as we can, which are tackling to the common business problems that are available in the market. So many of these content packages are based on SAP ECC and SAP S4HANA, because there is where a lot of demands come from. So for example, you see a package on business partner payment change, which is about ensuring the right kind of approvals before any change in business partner data is done. Or let's say a package on maintain purchase info records, which provides ready-to-use workflows and visibility content for validating and approving any kind of updates that happen to the purchase record before being used productively. And similar example is like vendor onboarding, where which is basically on collecting and validating the data that needs to be sent before a vendor is registered for a company. So you see that these are like pre-built, pre-packaged, ready to use enterprise content, all available for you to use. So not only this, we also have content. We also have intelligent content also. Let's say we have invoices without PO content available, which also have an inbuilt capabilities using machine learning for recommendations. And so this is just a very small list that you see on the screen. As I said, we have already published 30 content packages, and we have a lot of interesting content package lined up for coming quarters. Let's say for S4HANA specifically, we have content packages like for investment approvals, for financial budget planning, or for order management, for block orders, and for credit check failures, and so on. So all these content are available in API Business Hub. So you can log into api.sap.com and you can filter for workflow management, and you will have all these content available for you to look into it. And these content already have a user guide and a setup guide available with them, which helps you to understand the use case in general as to what this content package solves, and also contains a list of activities that you have to perform to set them up in your environment. And the whole idea is to do this in quick time without any development efforts. So with this, I come to an end to my presentation. So today you saw in this 30 minutes what options are available with SAP on automating and extending and your business processes. And so the key takeaways are like you keep your digital core clean and work on the standard workflows as much as possible using SAP business workflow and flexible workflow, and use SAP Cloud Platform workflow for any kind of extensions or orchestration needs that you have in your hybrid setup. So choose wisely between the platforms, because it will eventually help you to better compliance and policy regulations, and also for better agility and customer experience. So that's it that we have for today. So we are now open for discussions, and we are available to clarify any of your doubts. And you can also write back to us if you have any queries, and these are our details on the screens.
All right. Thank you so much for Archana and Bernhard. That really awesome presentation. As we can see that SAP provided with a couple of SAP workflow technology and options that can be used by the customer to improve their business processes, to automate certain business processes, and I believe some of them part of the business process re-engineering. So I can see in the chat box have a couple of questions. Not sure whether we have time to answer all of them. First one is asking about how about the My Business Inbox. I'm not sure about this question, whether to Bernhard or to Archana.
What is the My Business Inbox?
How about My Business Inbox? So
I think it's the inbox, I think. My inbox.
My Business Inbox is the new Fiori app, which will replace my inbox. Will Workflow work with the new Fiori app?
Oh, yes, it's the same inbox. I mean, enhanced and better. So yes, it will work.
Okay. The second question is, can you please provide POV to S4HANA on-prem workflow users?
Provide a point of view to S4HANA? I'm sorry, I don't get the question.
Adi, do you want to help elaborate that question?
We widely use flexible workflow since S4HANA 1909 and 2020 on-premise. So from your presentation, what is your roadmap for the on-prem users, which by definition could not go to on-cloud version, even consume any of SAP workflow services?
Well, would be interesting to know what kind of workflows you're talking about, because I mean, the design for flexible workflow is really a tool for our developers to create more flexible workflows. It's not really targeted at creating customer workflows. So this is where we, from the strategy point of view, using the business technology platform and not the flexible workflow. So, I mean, if you're happy with the flexible workflows you had created, that's obviously fine, but I cannot really support this idea.
Okay. Thanks, Bernhard. So question is, so when customer have a flexible workflow and the customer decided to migrate it to S4HANA, does the existing the existing classic workflow still be able to run smoothly in S4 environment?
From the workflow engine point of view, yes, but it heavily depends on what which application beneath you're using in your classical workflow. I mean, you call transactions there in a BOR object method.
Yeah.
I cannot say if that is custom coding. I cannot guarantee that it works. So from the engine in creating work items and have it available in my inbox, yes, but should be working. But I mean, you're off then all the innovations which will come with Fiori in that. So you should have a close look in what if you still want to have the same workflow up and running, or if you kind of do a new redesign project on the BPT and create it new. But Of course, first you should look at the in-app extension options within the standard workflows we offer in Flex.
How about the agent determination, which is based on workflow rule, PFAC transaction, and based on the HR org structure? Is that still going to run smoothly in S4 or have to be migrated?
In responsibility management, you can encapsulate any kind of PFAC rule or any other custom coding to determine an agent. So whatever you can do in a PFAC rule, you can put it in the new responsibility management and use it in Flex workflow as well. And if this kind of rule uses any HR org data, yeah, it's fine. We just simply, so I think I mentioned, we build on the teams and responsibility management, and we do not build any standard anymore on the HR org model.
Okay. So next question, is this bundle with the S4 license or is it separate license?
If it stays, oh, okay, please, Archana.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, was this question for SAP Workflow Management?
I believe so, for non-classic workflow, whether this bundle with the S4 license or separate license.
Okay, so for Workflow Management, SAP Workflow Management, that's a separate license and it's a cloud license.
And if you stay in the S4 and use the in-app extensibility, you'll stay in S4, and then the workflow, the S4 license is good.
Yeah.
So I believe on-prem, we just implement the app flexible workflow, and it's working with no need for additional license. Only if you use the service of the cloud workflow management, then you need to service subscription. The question is if you have an alternative for the workflow management, something to the on-prem, or I need to convert all the workflows to services and consume myself through Fiori, or build totally new. I don't need to make any side by side. I could develop myself, correct?
Yeah, so that's what, so there are two options, right? So if you do not want to really touch your existing workflows, then, and you just have some kind of, let's say, some kind of plumbing that is needed, and these are some additional configurations or customizations that you need, then you can build that as part of SAP Workflow Management. And in SAP Business Workflow, actually, we have integrated an activity where you can directly call the SAP Cloud, SAP BTP workflow. So that kind of easier integration and the kind of a highway is what we have already established. So you can choose whether you want to freshly build from scratch in Cloud Platform Workflow, or you really want to do like an extension use case where you have some part of workflow in your SAP S4HANA and other part in Cloud Platform, in SAP BTP.
All right. So I can see last question in the chat window here. Any tool to migrate the classic workflow to flexible workflow when we move to S4?
No.
Could I ask
short
last question, because you missed mine from the chat? So what are the tools for the debugging of the flexible workflow? We found this extremely difficult and complex because so many legs in debugging. You need to debug maybe my inbox app, maybe the front end, maybe the back end, maybe the service. So are you planning to create user-friendly debugging tool which will trace all of those legs to trace flexible workflow?
I mean, we're not looking into a customer building their own Flex workflow, so I'm afraid you cannot expect to really create development tools, if I get your question right, in kind of creating new Flex workflows and debugging them. So I'm afraid we're not going to provide any tools in the Flex. We would want you to move to the BPT and create own workflows there.
So it's flexible workflow, right? I'm just configuring with the low-code flexible workflow. How do I debug it? I'm not developing. I'm just using your flexibility, your proposal to use flexible workflows. But if it's not working, how could I debug it if I don't have user-friendly environment?
I'm afraid I'm not that technical to really help you on this question. Sorry.
So probably if I can conclude this, so for end user or business user that want to automate certain processes in simplistic way, they can use BTP and whatever SAP S4HANA provided. If customer want to use some kind of a bit of flexibility and enhancement of the process automation, they can use the existing classic workflow. Is that the right conclusion?
If it still makes sense to use the classic workflow, as I said, usually they rely on the old SAP GUI UI. So I'm not sure if that makes too much sense to really use a classical workflow still in an own developed classical workflow in the S4 world. So you should look for the move to the new world of workflow.
Okay.
Hi, this is Murali here. Just a question again on the same topic. I mean, generally when dealing with extensions with an S4 on-prem system, what would be your recommendation in terms of how do we go about building workflow scenarios? Do we stick with the existing business workflow, or do we start exploring the SAP workflow management? Because I mean, I think most of us understand that workflow management, is becoming very relevant when you start orchestrating processes across multiple solutions. But when you're just talking about an S4 system and doing extensions, like for example, a vendor onboarding, you could still do the vendor onboarding workflows within the workflow management and just pass on the vendors only when things are approved to a backend S4 system. So that way you're keeping the customizations all out of S4. So what would be your recommendation, and what are the things that we should be aware in terms of agent determinations or substitutions? Are they things that we need to keep in mind and plan accordingly when we decide on these things?
Okay, so I'll take that one. So, Murli, so as I said, right, so you should, I mean, the guidance is that use business workflow as much as possible, because, all these business objects and everything comes in place, and you do not have to really expose them as an OData service or data provisioning layer. So that said, as I said, there's also added advantage of using workflow management, right? You get out of box visibility in future, like intelligent RPA or conversational AIs and flexibility options, low code, no code tooling. All that is also available in cloud platform. So, and also the business rules, the central decision management, and so on and so forth. And then the task center is also coming up, and so on. So there's definitely an added advantage, but then it's definitely a call that a company has to take if they have a cloud roadmap, right? So definitely if they have a cloud roadmap, and as you said, right, you can orchestrate the workflow in using SAP workflow management, and then you can do that entry points and which makes a call to the backend system, fetches the response, or posts the call back. So that is also the possibility. So the possibilities are there, and business workflow is also available, which is an app which provides all the things that are needed to orchestrate in just in S4HANA. And also we have a business SAP workflow management. So we do not do the comparison. We have given both the options. Both have its advantages, and so it just depends upon like what is an option for a company, because sometimes companies says, okay, I do not want to convert my user interfaces from the classic workflow to Fiori because it's a lot of effort. Then they continue to work with ECC, or they say, maybe I do not have a cloud strategy at all, and so I just want to stick to SAP S4 workflow. So it's up to like how companies are. If they say they are open, they have both cloud as well as S4, and if they already have, they're okay exposing the OData layer and exposing the APIs, then and business SAP workflow management is definitely the preferred choice.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I think that's the last question, and I would like to say thank you for everyone that attending this evening Sydney Tech Night event. Thank you for all speakers, Paul, Hardy, Bernhard, and Archana. And also would like to thank you to Adi and Murali who helping out organizing this event as well. So I'll see you guys in the next SAP Sydney Tech Night event. Have a good evening.
Okay.
Good
Bye-bye.
evening. Bye-bye.
Guys. Bye.
See you all.
See you. Bye.
Thank you all. I'm stopping the recording.